Good day, collectors and viewers. Social Distance Warrior is back with video number 15. Today we're going to look at our favorite astromech droid from a galaxy far, far away, R2-D2, the one and only. So R2-D2 made his debut back in the original Star Wars movie, A New Hope, back in 1977. Figure made its debut in 1978 as part of the original 12-pack. That's this figure over here. Now you can see R2-D2 in all his glory. Shiny dome. He's got his articulated legs with the foot pegs underneath. One thing that I guess always bugged me about this figure, I used to like to take them into the bath and play in water as a kid. And because he's got sticker decals running all the way around, you took him into the water, you'd ruin him. And you'd have an R2-D2 without any electronics on him. You just have a nice plain dome. And I used to have to make my own from sticker sheets and put them back on. Now his dome does turn back and forth and makes a clicking sound. And he was also released in a Droid factory where you could put them together, and you could also put the third leg in there as well. Now I don't have that one, but that's the Droid factory one, had that extra accessory on there, which was really, really cool. So you can put that third leg in. Now that was obviously a favorite figure all the way through, and he made his, return in Empire Strikes Back and the Return of the Jedi waves as well. But yeah, that's the original iconic R2-D2 figure. Now the next two figures that I'm going to talk about, I don't have on hand here, but let's go over them to give them some credit as well. Next one we get from R2-D2 would be from the Empire Strikes Back wave in 1982. They made an R2-D2 and he had a sensor scope that popped up on top here as well. That made him another unique figure that was very desirable. And then 3 years after that, in 1985, as part of the Return of the Jedi, towards the end of that wave, and also from Power of the Force, they made a R2-D2 with a pop-up lightsaber. So he'd have a lightsaber on here and it would pop out. It was a shorter green lightsaber of Luke's that you can give to Luke and reenact that scene on the sail barge. That figure was also released in the Droids line in 1985. And it was identical figure as that pop-up lightsaber one, just that it was in, the cartoon animated style color-wise, which was really cool as well. Okay, so then Star Wars went dormant after, no movies. Interest went elsewhere, and then when it made its triumphant return back in 1995 as Power of the Force 2, we got another R2-D2, this time with no stickers on them. So we finally got an R2-D2 from all the figures in that line that were all super beefy. R2-D2 was probably the best one because he had, instead of stickers, fully, detailed wiring circuits, his whole board here on the front and back. He had a third leg built on as well, which was really, really cool. And of course his shiny dome, and now that dome has a light pipe on it as well. So if we put, a light on it, which I'm going to do here just to kind of show you guys quickly, we put the light down there, you can see right through his dome there, see on his eye, which is really neat as well. So you brought him into the life, it gave you some light, gave you some realism. So you could turn that, back and forth as well as dome. And then that third leg in there, that could go in as well. So you could put the third leg inside there, and you can have him, stationed with just the two legs. And then if we turn this figure around, you can see they put a little lever there in the back to easily take out that third leg, and you lock it in place, and you have the best, most realistic R2-D2 to date at the time. So that was in 95 as part of the Power of the Force 2 line. So then we fast forward a couple of years, and we're going to talk about a figure I don't have here. They made a slight alteration to that Power of the Force R2-D2, and they made an electronic power effects line. So Hasbro was playing around with, different mediums to try and make toys and release toys, and that was another way to release them. And he got electronic, and he came with a Tatooine backdrop as well. I didn't pick him up because at the time, again, I was trying to justify, how many figures am I going to have? How much different is he from the one I have? I was trying to save money. Looking back now, I wish I had them all. Perhaps one day I'll get them all as well. So, especially when you look at them all in one shot here, it definitely brings back memories. So let's go from there. From 97, we'll go to 1998, the freeze frame line. So we got an R2-D2, again, another brand new R2-D2 with features on him. He came with extra gadgets. You can see here he's got his dome. He doesn't have his third leg on there. And now they've started to, mold these, what are supposed to be his wheels underneath on here. You can see, but no third leg on this guy here. He does have a pop-up sensor scope there, so we can press that in. And as soon as we push that in, if we push that little button there on the back, that pops up. And he does have, extra arms that you can put on there, a claw, a saw that you can stick on the front there, which is really nice as well. Kind of gives you another version of R2-D2 that you don't have. And then you can see there's another little arm here. If we start turning that head, that arm goes in and it comes out. I don't know if you can see that on there. You turn it back, you can bring it all the way back in. So nice little feature on there, and then the scope on top is, definitely very cool as well. So that was in 1998. And then, how many R2-D2s could they make? Well, they kept getting creative, right? So once they made that one, a little bit later that year in 98, we got the Flashback wave. So Flashback was, started to promote episode 1. So the figures would come with another alternate character from episode 1 that was related to them. R2 had his R2 from episode 1 in this regard, and they gave us an R2-D2 with launching lightsaber. So that's this guy here. Now, in order to give us that feature with the launching lightsaber, to make it an action feature, they elongated that middle leg a lot. So to give us that feature, that leg is huge. But again, it's just such a nice, running change for the character. The dome wasn't chrome. They went with a, silver finish on there. So that's the first time we see that from the modern line. And you can see the lightsaber sticking out here on the front. The legs are articulated. Okay, there is pegs on them. And again, they have those molded wheels underneath there. Let's turn them around just to show you that first, to see what it looks like. Now, because of that lightsaber feature, you can't turn the dome. But the two buttons there in the front, the circuits there in the front, those two grills, if you push that in, that lightsaber will pop up. And it definitely has, some power to it. It can spring up pretty high, and we can pull that right out. And Luke Skywalker's got a lightsaber now. They made it a little bit thicker to go into that shaft, but he can hold it no problem. So Luke's got a lightsaber. He can save the day on, Tatooine when they're saving Han Solo and they're over the pit of Carkoon there. So that was in 98, Flashback wave. So next time we see R2-D2 is 1999. So R2-D2 made his triumphant debut in episode 1 as one of the droids on the Queen's starship when they were fleeing Naboo. R2-D2 was one of the droids that went out to try and fix the ship, and this is where we first see him, and they made a figure of him. Now, the figure is definitely an interesting one, because that action figure of R2-D2 was advertised and came with booster rockets. So it's this guy over here. So we got it's not really that, shiny chrome, but it's definitely a brighter silver, which is neat. And the R2-D2 has a feature that never actually happened in the movie because it was a deleted scene. So he was supposed to have booster rockets, and then that didn't go too well, so they cut the scene out. Now, I'll show you that in a second. I'll just kind of take you around and show you him front and back. He does have that leg in there as well, so you can move his leg in and out. And now the leg moving in and out, it works a little bit differently than the other features do. I'll show you that mechanism as well. So his head here, if you look at him closely, when I turn the head, you can see that it opens up doorways, pathways on the front there and on the back. If you see that there. And then if you push that middle leg in, his rockets come out. So he's got rockets that pop out of the front and the back. You can see them here in the back as well. And then in the front. And that was supposed to be R2-D2's, he's supposed to have a feature where he flies in the movie. And that was his rocket mechanism in there. So, I have to give it to them for being inventive and finding new ways to implement features on him. Again, when we actually do see him with the rockets, he has them on the sides here. But, at the time they were experimenting with how they can utilize that and show us something that wasn't in the original movie and would explain why he doesn't have it. Maybe that feature was busted on him afterwards. But that was a nice little tidbit that they made on that figure, and that was in episode 1. So after the episode 1 wave, we moved to 1999, a little bit later on, the Comtech wave. So they had the Comtech wave with episode 1. They also had it with the Power of the Force 2 line. It was R2-D2 with holographic Princess Leia. I don't have him here, but that's another figure that came out at the time, just a little bit later than that rocket booster one. And then next time we see R2-D2 will be in 2000 as part of the Power of the Jedi line. They made a Naboo escape one. I have him just back here to show you. Now, what was really neat about this figure, I love the paint job on it. They really did a really nice, it's a brand new sculpt. They did a really nice sculpt on R2-D2. The nicest thing about this figure is that if we lift him up, you look underneath, you'll see that they actually added wheels on there. So R2-D2 for the first time, all 3 wheels as well. So R2-D2 for the first time has wheels underneath him, so you can roll him back and forth. Now this one's called Naboo Escape. So this is supposed to be when he went onto the Queen's starship and he was out on the top and he was trying to fix the shields before they got blown up, and every other droid got blown up except for R2-D2. So that's supposed to reenact his debut. And we turn this around just to show you the card back, since we're already doing that. And you can see the other figures they had in the line. Now, the Power of the Jedi line wasn't widely distributed because a lot of stores were clogged with Episode 1 product and Power of the Force 2 product. I like the line a lot because it did give us some characters that we never had before, you know, like Porkins and, you know, Dagobah Vader and a nice new Ben. And then, of course, you know, the pod race announcer, Chewie with his Dejarik table. R2-D2 was one of them as well. Darth Maul that breaks in half, which was neat, right? So, and they kind of paid homage on the back to that original line. I really like this. I wish they could go back to something like that on every single figure, because I always love turning in the back and see what else is there available that I can get that I don't have on the fly. So that was always a nice feature. And they all came with these force files, this wave as well. So that's a little bit of history on the Power of the Jedi wave. Okay, let's position him back there so we don't lose him. Okay, so R2-D2 after the 2000 wave, we go up a couple years to 2002 to the Star Wars Saga Collection, Attack of the Clones, and we got ourselves a new R2-D2. And this time our R2-D2 is got an electronic feature. Now, this is still my original one from 2002. His head doesn't turn. You can turn it, move his legs. He doesn't have wheels underneath. They, you know, omitted the wheels from the Naboo Escape one. And if we turn him around over here, you can kind of see him on the back. He's got his compartment to take out the battery. Now, later versions of this figure, they took this away where you couldn't change the battery, but this one you can still do it on. I'll have to do it eventually. But if I get lucky and you guys get lucky, maybe I can push that button and he still does the features. Let's have a look. From 2002, does he still work today? Yeah, yes, he does. Okay, let's try that again. And one more time. You know, so blinking eye and sound effects, really cool. Again, a nice new feature on R2-D2 that we didn't have. I never had that 97 power effects one, so this was definitely a welcome addition. And like Hasbro did so many times, certain figures came with accessories, and I needed those accessories. So this R2, he came with the centipedes from the beginning of Episode 2, where they tried to poison and kill the Queen. That was the one that Zam Wesell sent. So two little really cool centipedes on there. They're such nice, you know, additions. Really disgusting and cool looking. So you can have those, you know, sitting in front of your R2-D2, and it definitely makes them stand out, and you know which version of R2-D2 it is when you put something like that in front of him. So next R2-D2 that we get after that one is also in 2002 from Star Wars Saga Collection. This one came with a, you know, a dirty down Dagobah X-Wing. We got a R2-D2 that's weathered, dirty looking. You can see him on here. He's got that shiny dome back. He doesn't have his wheels underneath. You know, the third wheel, he just has, you know, the flat bottom there and his 2 feet. Which is okay, because on Dagobah, he's not really, you know, moving around on his 3 wheels. He's more standing on the 2 and trying to walk back and forth because the terrain was so bad. And you can see the green, you know, spill on there, nice chrome dome. Clicking sound when you turn him back and forth, which was neat. And he actually sat really nicely inside that X-Wing, which was really cool. And they painted that little light on the back there yellow. So detail-wise, where sometimes they would, you know, cheap out when they included figures with vehicles, they didn't on this guy. He's definitely detailed, looks really, really nice. Okay, so that was 2002. Now we go to 2003. So also Star Wars Saga line. Now, they never actually officially made a line for Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. They just had a Saga line where they had every character from all the movies, you know, coming out on there. But they did focus on it when it first came out. And we did get a Attack of the Clones R2-D2 in 03. That'll be this guy here. Now, I was never crazy about this toy, about this figure, and the reason why, it was mainly because R2-D2, like, he should have his legs should move. Why are his legs, like, you know, molded on there? It definitely took away play features. And over the years, you know, and again underneath I show him there, and you can see he's got that third leg, but he doesn't have any wheels. They're just kind of, you know, molded in there. Over the years I learned to like him. Now, he does have 2 little rocket effects that clip onto here as well. I took them off so I can show you how this thing works. And his dome does move back and forth. And he does have a sensor scope on top there. I'll show you how creative they are. If I turn it around, you'll notice in the back here, they have like 2 little clips. But they did get creative with this guy. They gave us some articulation on the legs, which is neat here, you know, so you can do some positioning with him when you have him standing. And then if you push these rockets in, which he actually, these are the rockets that he used in the movie, right, when he was flying around. If we push those rockets in, let me show you that. That third leg pops out. And out of the third leg, you know, that's not R2-D2 being happy. Out of that third leg there, if we pull that down, we have, you know, R2-D2's rope. You can see the magnet on the end. And if you had the C-3PO from the Build-A-Droid, you know, 2-pack that came with the Battle Droid, the Droid Factory one, he's got a magnet on his head. You stick that on C-3PO's head, and you can drag him through, you know, Genosha. When they were in the arena, and he was saving them, you can pull that, pop the head right off. So that was a really cool feature. And you'd take this, and if you wanted to, you could wrap that around the back there, you know, to store it. Totally up to you. And then if you wanted to wind it back up, you just pull out that area where the sensor scope is, and you pull the rope back up, and it brings the rope all the way back in. So you could do a lot with this figure. So again, over the years, I really appreciated the fact that they tried to do something new. And, you know, engineering-wise, they went all out. They gave us some features on there. You know, you push the rockets in, the leg pops out. Like, they designed it in a way where you didn't have to pick and get frustrated by pulling it with your, you know, with your finger in and out and stuff. So for now, let's just, you know, wrap this around the back there so we can continue our review. Put R2 back over here. So that's our Attack of the Clones, R2-D2. Okay, so we go ahead 1 year to 2004, and again, it's a figure I don't have from the original trilogy collection. They made a Dagobah version of R2-D2, again, a dirtier one than this one, and he came with one the piece of the, you know, the dirt bottom from Dagobah, just like, you know, the Dagobah Luke did and that Spirit of Obi-Wan did. R2-D2 came in that wave as well. He just wasn't different enough, and I had this one. I didn't, you know, deem it necessary for me to buy it at the time. So, same year, 2004, we go now to Star Wars Saga Collection, and we get Jabba's sail barge, Bartender. So we get a Bartender version of R2-D2. Like, what else could they make of R2? Well, they give us a Bartender as well. So R2-D2, you know, has, you know, his full features, articulations back. You know, we flip underneath here. We can see he's got the wheels molded on. That third leg comes in and out. But now he's got, you know, the Bartender part on top. You have this piece that rotates back and forth to pour the drinks that popped out of his little arm that popped out of his hood. You move that back and forth, and of course you can remove the Bartender part and use him as a regular R2-D2. You could technically remove this as well. It just won't look as good with the hole sticking out of the head. And I'll just turn him around so you can see the details on the back as well on this R2-D2. So definitely a cool, welcome addition. Again, I love the paint job. It's a nice bright blue. I always like the more vibrant colors on the Star Wars figures. They definitely stand out better on the shelf. Sometimes they're not as realistic, but they stand out a lot nicer on the shelf when they have that brighter blue on them. And of course, that leg, you know, can come all the way out or it can go all the way in. So depending on which way you want to display them. And then that just goes back onto his shoulders, side to side, and you can, you know, put them on your sail barge, and or you can put them in Jabba's palace, however you want to display them, or on your shelf. So that was part of the Star Wars Saga Collection. Now, next time we see R2-D2 is 2004. So they did the Vintage Original Trilogy Collection, and they made the super articulated versions of all the characters. R2-D2 was one of them. I don't have him in his blister card. I do have the figure. Now, that same figure was reused in the Saga Collection in 2006. So what I'm going to do the review for the 2004 and 2006 at the same time. So I have the 2006 version, but it's exactly the same mold as this guy here. So he's got his shiny dome, which is really cool. And again, you know, the light pipe with the light coming in. The head never looked better. R2-D2 is looking more and more realistic. Just like his original vintage one. Now, you can see him front and back detail-wise. Now, we notice something interesting when I flip him upside down. He's got wheels. So finally, we get him positioned with wheels where we can, you know, roll him back and forth, R2-D2, okay? And that middle leg there, that does come out. So you can pull out the middle leg just like you did on the Vintage Original Trilogy Collection one, or you can put it back in to have it positioned in there. Now, this little panel here, on this one, it's fixated in. But on the Vintage Original Trilogy Collection, this comes off, and you can replace it with this guy here. So you can have it with his arms sticking out, and then the arms, let me just put this guy down for a second. You can see how that snaps in there. It's got a little, you know, indent on the back. You just push that into R2-D2, and the arms do come off and on. So you have those extra features on there, and that would just go on the front of the R2-D2 like that, just to show you. So you can do some more details with them. It came with more features, and of course they re-released this mold a number of times just because it was such a really good version of him. So the 2006 version of this guy was really neat because they weathered him a little bit, and they also put him with some accessories. So again, when in that Saga collection, they repainted the accessories that came with the X-Wing, and they gave it to us with R2-D2. So, you know, you have the lantern, this time with the inside painted, so it's, you know, fully detailed when he was meeting Yoda for the first time, Luke was. And then, you know, his chest, and what's really neat is these things actually open, which is neat. So you can, you know, reenact that scene. And then also his little, you know, food tray or whatnot that he had in there. And this one's not detailed inside, I believe, but it's, you know, it got the details in there, but not painted. Yeah, so that opens up. So the R2-D2 came with those accessories, which was really neat. And that's, again, another reason why you had to have R2-D2 if you never had those accessories. So let's put him back up there. So that's 2004, and then re-released again in 2006. So next R2-D2 we get is for the Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith movie. We got an R2-D2, this guy here. From the beginning of the movie, again, brand new sculpt for R2-D2. He does have his rockets on the side, which is really neat this time. You can see, and they do come off, so you can, you know, have them on or off, whichever way you want. The leg doesn't come off. The articulation on the sides, you have that there. The head does turn side to side, which is neat. The dome's a little bit of a paler silver. They went away from that chrome finish on R2 and on 3PO, I think, for, you know, pollution reasons or whatnot, but I miss it, but nonetheless, we have to deal with it. I'll deal with it. So new sculpt for R2-D2. They try to make him a little more, you know, thinner, realistic wise. And if you look on top of his head, he's got this piece that you can put on, and that's when he's fighting those buzz droids at the very beginning of the movie. Now, this is a little bit too long. If they made it articulated, it would have been better. But that pushes in there, and then if you push in that middle leg, you can reenact the part where he's, you know, he's trying to zap it or hit it at the beginning. Again, just another reason to make an R2-D2 and a brand new one, and a welcome addition for sure, I think, in the collection. So let's, you know, put him back up there. That was Revenge of the Sith. Next time we see R2 is in 2007 as part of the 30th anniversary wave. So 30th anniversary wave, they came with those collector coins, and they released some really cool figures, and R2-D2 was one of them. Here he is here. And they gave us an R2-D2 from Revenge of the Sith, from that scene where he's battling the super battle droids on General Grievous's ship at the beginning, where they're trying to, you know, save Chancellor Palpatine. So R2-D2 is a brand new sculpt. He's a really, really good figure, and you can see he comes with these blast effects. We can pull him off of there. That just comes off like that. We can put that down for a sec. He has full articulation. He's got his wheels underneath there. These, you know, rockets, side rockets, they do come off as well. You can turn his head, you know, back and forth. You turn his head, it does bring his wheel in, just like on previous models of R2-D2. But again, a nice welcome, nice new sculpt. And then they designed this really well too. So you put this, each rocket kind of just clips in on the side there. Let's see if I can get it in there on camera. There we go. And there's a little bit of an indent for his leg as well to sit in there. And then if you had the super battle droid from the 30th anniversary, this is designed to sit right on top of him. It looks like he's burning him. So that's a nice little, you know, feature display scene. That's how I have mine displayed as well. So it's a nice little feature. And he's got, you know, some yellowing on here too to symbolize the fire, you know, like the reflectiveness of the fire, and some oil there when he spilt the oil on them as well, which is really neat figure. And you can see him from the back. He's got a little more yellowing on the back there too to show reflective color. So definitely a really neat figure. And, you know, the paint decals on the dome were really nice too. You know, the lights, they tried to go a little bit, you know, more detail-wise than they normally do, because it was the 30th anniversary of Star Wars, for sure. So let's put him back there. Also in 2007, we get a 30th anniversary collection version of Endor R2-D2. Now, this is a really neat one. So it's a re-released R2-D2 that we probably already have before. I believe it's the vintage original trilogy collection one with a new paint job. They added some green on there, you know, because he's in the forest mood of Endor. But he comes with, you know, the scene where he's tied up. So he comes with these, you know, 2 wooden poles and the ropes, and you can tie him up on there. I'm not going to take him off because I'll never get him back on camera. But it's that same figure, so articulation-wise, you know, you'll know. And he's got the wheels underneath there. Really nice paint job. And what was really neat is these accessories. Now, if you have an Ewok Village, a vintage one like I do, like he can, you know, you put him in that scene, it looks really, really good. You know, right on top there, like they're captured when the Ewoks all have them together. And he came with a really neat accessory as well. So that, let's put him back here. I'll just show you the accessory he came with. He came with a coin. And he also came, see, they went all out. They gave us the net. And this is a plastic net. So plastic net. And it opens right up. And it's got, you know, little holes on the sides where you can put their, you know, legs through the figures. And it's got, you know, clips on the ends where you can hang it. And if, you know, if I fold it up to kind of reenact, you can kind of get an idea. Like, look how cool that is. Even got some green, like, leaves on the end there. I think, if, you know, don't quote me here. I never heard anything about it. But I think just like when they were releasing some of those, you know, Jabba's skiff guards, and they had the cannons, and we ended up getting the sail barge, and we had a place to put them. I think the initial intention was to make something like that one day. Maybe they were intending to make an Ewok village. And, you know, they're giving us accessories for it, which is really, really neat. I love the accessory. Like, I had to have that figure for the, you know, the tie-up feature that's on him there, and plus the cargo net, the net, which is really, really cool to capture them in, and you can see all the leaves and stuff on there. So I wanted to show you that as well, since we're talking about R2 and all the different ones. Okay, so now we go one more year up to 2008. Now we're Legacy Collection. And they made a Build-A-Droid, a really cool one, C-3PX. Now, C-3PX, there's a number of ones. You buy parts, you can build them. And one of the figures was an X-Wing Luke with a battle-damaged R2-D2. So the R2-D2 is awesome. So let's pull him out over here to show you. He came with the battle-damaged parts. Now, you can't close these panels. Everything is like molded on. But look at the detail on this guy with the panels. So this is from the trench run, you know, when he gets shot by Darth Vader. And he's all damaged when they take him out at the end. So look at the front there. And you can see how cool the sculpt is. Like, he has the wheels, so it's definitely a definitive version of R2. That leg does go in and out when we turn the head. Okay. Now let's show you some more features on this guy. Let's take him all the way around, show you from the side. He's got weathering on the side there. And we go to the back, and you can see on the back too, like the panels are all dented, busted up. It's like a must-have R2-D2, you know, for anybody that likes to have every definitive version of them. This one is definitely a standout. You can see that panel too, busted with all the wires showing inside there. And we take them all the way around here to the side. Same thing, dirty there, and then back to the front, you know, for his panels. Now let's look at his dome. You can see the scratch on his dome there on the side, right? And we look around his dome all the way to the back, dents. And then when we take his dome up to the top, you can see damage on the dome on the top. He's missing, you know, panels here and all wires sticking out. So such a real neat looking figure that stands out huge, you know. And I had him in the package forever. I actually took him out of the package for this review because I said if I'm going to do an R2-D2 review, I'd love to do one where I can show you some stuff in person. I can't show you everything in person, but whatever I can, I'll show you in person. So I took that one out. It gave me an excuse to open him up. So that's R2-D2 from that Build-A-Droid set. Okay. So next R2-D2 that we get is in 2008. They also debuted Clone Wars. So they made an animated version of R2. That's this guy over here. And with the animated line, they definitely went all out. Like on features and stuff on these figures, they look animated, right? But feature-wise, they did not cheap out. They gave us everything. Like you look at the R2-D2, he's got the articulation on the legs. You know, that middle leg there doesn't come... Actually, I thought it comes out. Doesn't come out, you know, but he's got the wheels underneath there, and he's got double wheels here, a little wheel in the middle. The rocket packs on the side there, they do come off. You can take them off or on if you don't want to have them displayed with them on. The panels on the front do open, and when you open them up, they have, you know, his arms pop out, which is neat. You can see he's got the 2 arms that pop out on the front, as well as the dome there. You can see the dome does have, you know, his sensor scope that pops up. Let's see if I can pull that back out. It's got a little indent there on the side where you can pull it to bring it up. There you go. So it's got the sensor scope. Now, if we turn him around, it's still not finished. On the back here, he's got a panel as well. We pop that panel open, and he's got a little clip That's going to be hard to get out, I think. Let's see if I can't pull that out with something. Okay. There we go. Okay, he's got a little clip. Paper clips come in handy for anything. So he's got a little hook in the back there, and you can pull that right out, and I think you wind it up when you turn his head. Yeah, so you unwind it with his head there, and then you wind it back up with this by rotating his head clockwise again. So you can turn that back in. So like feature-wise, they went all out on these figures. They gave us everything in an R2, and you have a nice little animated look for him, which is really neat. Let's put his head there to the back so we can look at him. So that's our R2 from Clone Wars from 2008. Next R2-D2 we get is 2009. We get a 2008 as well. We get a shield generator assault battle pack. Here I have them in order. I'm just kind of skipping ahead. So there's a battle pack, and R2-D2 was in that battle pack, and it's the scene where they're trying to turn off the shield generator on Endor, and I thought it was worthwhile to get the figure as well. Again, it's that vintage original trilogy collection one with, the wheels underneath and that third leg. And R2-D2 with, he's been damaged. He's got the electricity, blowing up all over. All of his parts and stuff are trying to pop off. It's such a cool figure. You look at it, you're like, well, how much can I display with this figure? It looks like it's molded on, right? It's not molded on. We can pull this guy right off. And ta-da, you have a regular R2-D2 under there. The vintage original trilogy collection one. That panel is glued in. But you can see the accessory here with the electricity. All those parts of R2s are just, they're sculpted on there, which is really neat. So you can either put it on or take it off. And when you have it on there, it doesn't look stupid. It actually looks really good. It looks like it's supposed to be on, and looks like you're supposed to be reenacting that scene. R2-D2 looks neat on there. So that was Battle Pack 2008. And then next time we get now let's go back to 2009. This one is Legacy Collection. This is the Jawa Capture. That's this guy over here. So we get an R2-D2. So I don't have the holographic one with Princess Leia. That one was the first one that came with the restraining bolt. This one's got the updated restraining bolt on that panel there, and it's still that same figure. The Hasbro was in love with that vintage original trilogy collection R2-D2, and they just kept re-releasing them in new and inventive ways. And here he is again. This time from the beginning of A New Hope when the Jawas shoot him. And of course, afterwards, put the restraining bolt on him. Now that effect does come off too. I'll take that off just to show you what it looks like. He's definitely a nice figure too. You can see paint-wise and stuff, he's neat. He does have the sensor scope on his dome, which is neat too. So we turn his head. So he is a little bit different from that vintage original trilogy collection one. You turn his head there, that pops up. And turn it back. He doesn't have that chrome dome. And then when you're not using them, this goes over. And an easy way to know the way it goes over, there's a little bit of a gap on this effect here, on the electricity effect. That just goes over the front of his face there. So we just clip that over. That's an easy way to reference for myself and for R2-D2 and have him positioned, back on those, dunes of Tatooine where they're trying to find Ben Kenobi and the Jawas. You capture them. So that's the Jawa Capture. Next R2-D2 that we get is going to be in the Vintage Collection. So Vintage Collection in 2010, we get a redone R2-D2 Bartender. So that'll be this guy over here. I have him in package. So R2-D2 gets a brand new sculpt with accessories. Now I apologize, I do have him in package over here, but I'm going to show you another one of my R2-D2, well, R2 units anyway, to kind of show you what those features are now. He has panels that open. He has the cups. He has the sensor scope. He has Luke's launching lightsaber in there. You can't launch it, but you can hide it inside. And he comes on the Return to Jedi card back, which was really neat. Let's just turn that around to show you the back as well. And so they have it as a first issue. Technically, he did come out in the Saga collection, so they probably should have put that card because that was the first time we got R2-D2 as a bartender. So that's just being politically or correct anyway. We want to be technically correct. So let's put R2-D2 back. And I'm going to show you a version that I have, an R2 unit that's got that same mold. So the R2 unit that I have that's got that same bartender mold as the R2-D2 in the back there is this one from Jabba's Palace. Now it's the same exact mold that R2 has. So you have that arm on top that turns back and forth. You can open that sensor scope there on top. The front gadget here opens up and you can pull the arm out. Where's my handy paper clip? We can pull that arm out just to show you what that looks like with it out. Okay. And you turn this guy all the way around, you kind of see detail-wise what it looks like front and back. Now, if you didn't know, this droid is actually one of the bartenders on Jabba's sail barge, which I didn't know till I caught him off, off clip one time watching the movie. I'm like, who's that droid with the white and the red? And I find out he was, that they made a figure of him. So I picked him up. So you can see that's the, new version of the bartender part. And the cups on there, and the cups, oh, I'm going to lose them. The cups do come off, which is an amazing feature. Like, they're so small, you can lose them. Thankfully, they press on there pretty tight so that you don't lose them. Let's put that back on. Yeah, so that's the features for the bartender one. I just wanted to show you what that mold looked like so you have an idea as well. And of course, he does have, wheels underneath his feet. And the middle one doesn't have it on this one. That foot just goes up, and that pushes up the sensor scope on top there. In and out, okay? So next we go to 2013. So Black Series now, they got rid of the vintage collection figures and they moved to Black Series for 6-inch and for 3 3/4 inch. It was definitely a confusing time for collectors. And they gave us another version of R2-D2 that I picked up, a clean version of him anyway. It'll be this one over here. And I couldn't figure out for the life of me where this R2-D2 came from. I thought at first that he was from that vintage collection one until I picked him up, turned him underneath, and noticed that the wheels were different. When I look at them at the bottom, nope, he's not that figure. He's not that mold. And of course, he looked a little bit bigger. So what else could I find on this figure that was a feature that the other one didn't have? So then I looked on the side and I see little pegs on the side there for the rocket. So I'm like, oh, that's going to be the one that was from Revenge of the Sith. So I picked that figure up. I'm like, nope, it's not that figure. And this one doesn't even have wheels. So it's not a Kit Bash figure. It's a completely different figure. So I was going back and forth for this review trying to figure out which mold this was. And I finally managed to figure out that this is a clean version of the 30th anniversary R2-D2 with the rockets. This guy over here. Okay, so I couldn't remember for the life of me where he was from. A nice clean version of him, nice sculpt. It's exactly the same sculpt. If we turn him underneath, you can see the wheels underneath there. Just, it doesn't have any yellowing. And mine doesn't have the rockets on there, but I'll just take the ones off of this guy here just to show you. So just give me 1 second there just to pull off the rockets on the 30th anniversary one, and I can show you what the Black Series 2013 one looks like. So let's put those rockets in there. So this is to date probably our most realistic R2-D2 with the rockets on there. You can redo that whole scene. You can do it from Attack of the Clones, or you can do it from Revenge of the Sith or whatnot. But there's R2-D2, and that's what he looks like with his rockets on from that Black Series. So let's put him there. Next R2-D2 that we're going to get is from 2015. So from The Force Awakens, there was a 2-pack with C-3PO and R2-D2, which was also part of the Mission series. When Disney took over, they made these discounted version looking figures, and R2-D2 was one of them. Paint job was better on this one. He's got a smaller sculpt, realistic sculpt compared to some of the 3 3/4 inch figures that weren't very good. The R2 is, nice size, nice sculpt. They tried to make him accurate that way. He doesn't have that third leg and no wheels. They went backwards, not even little pegs, like nothing backwards in that regard. Detail wise, he's pretty detailed, but nothing done on the back here. And just the plain blue on the top, a little bit of red, on the front there. And you can turn his head back and forth. It doesn't make any clicking sound, but that's the R2 we got from the Mission series and from Force Awakens as well. Maybe because he was sleeping in Force Awakens, so they didn't bother making a figure. I'm not sure. So next R2-D2 that we get will be 2018. So when they made the Han Solo movie, the standalone Solo movie, they made an R2-D2 figure in there that came out exclusively with C-3PO. I think it was a Toys R Us exclusive in Canada because Toys R Us just closed in the States at the time. I didn't pick that figure up, but I did get him when they put him on. They decided to put that same figure on the vintage collection backdrop. So that was from 2019. That's this guy over here. I believe it's the same figure. So that figure is basically a Build-A-Droid put together. So as far as R2 sculpts, if you ask me, this sculpt, even though it's smaller, is more realistic for R2-D2 than this one over here. And, even if they do decide to go to this one because they've never done it before for an R2 on a main scale, that I'm fine with that. But I think they probably should have had, if they're going to put them for the first time on the vintage card, which was great, you know, for all of us people that like to keep them on the card, at least give us a clean version. Give us the option of clean or dirty. And that's probably my only complaint about that. I love having an R2 on the card. I'm not going to open this guy, but my only complaint is that it's not a clean version. And if we look at him underneath there, we can see he does have the wheels on. Oh, just underneath there so you can see. And then if we turn him around to the back, card back, you can see the other figures that were available in the wave as well. And he's vintage collection number 149. So that's the most recent R2-D2 that we got. That was 2019. And the only other R2-D2 that I have to show you will be my Black Series one. Let's just make sure we can get this guy to stand properly before. Looks like I can't. R2 does not want to stand. There we go. Will be the Black Series one from the 6-inch line. I wasn't able to get the original one. And then when he came out in the 40th anniversary, wasn't able to find them in the stores. I checked all the time, and then they made a 3-pack, an Amazon exclusive 3-pack, and then I finally was able to get R2. Now he's weathered, he's dirty, just like my 3 3/4-inch new one, but I'm happy to have him. He does have wheels on all of his legs there, which is neat, and you can put all 3 legs up and down on this figure, and just by turning his dome, you know, the legs come down. We'll just bring that 3rd leg down to show you. And then he does have, you know, compartments that you can open on here as well. Let's just pop this guy open. And he's got little arms in there that you can bring up. Same thing on this side. This comes up. And same thing. He's got a little arm that can pop up there. And then on his dome here, you can pop lots of parts of his dome in there and put his sensor scope in there, which is cool. So they made us a really nice looking R2-D2 in the Black Series 6-inch line. R2's got a lot of love over the years. And that's going to be it for my review. I want to thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed my research. I did my best to try and get it as accurate as possible. I'm sure I messed some stuff up, but as a whole, you get to see everything in one spot. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. I look forward to making more videos. Take care.